Eve of Christmas, Eve plurals.
You guys got your hat and my sweater.
They had a great win Friday. I was in the studio in Charlotte. My sideline guy, Peter Burns, and they were outstanding in a quality win against a good SMU team. Let's see if they can back it up against in-state rival Georgia Southern.
It's a good Georgia Southern team. They love their offense, 79 points a game. They're coming off of another conference win. They're already 2-0 in the Sun Belt. And they'll put it in the air. Calvin Wishart off the back rim. And the rebound belongs to Georgia. Mayshawn Hammonds is really the lone big guy for this Georgia team alongside freshman Rodney Howard. It's the only thing they're missing right now.
Yeah, they're going to play a lot of time. They're going to play a lot of 5 out, though. Constant movement, constant motion, cutting with a purpose, trying to create angles, because that's all that young man needs is a little bit of space.
Third in the league in scoring, 19 a game for Anthony Edwards, freshman from down the road in Atlanta. And a foul on Georgia on this second possession is on Anthony Edwards.
Georgia Southern brings a group. I was at the shoot around earlier today, Tom, and they came in with a lot of confidence, as you said, coming on back-to-back league wins. An always competitive Sun Belt conference. Sun Belt goes to 20 league games. You got to get them in at the end of December. They played 2 home games, 1 close games. I think it gave them a lot of confidence in tonight's battle.
There's Ike Smith, one of the top scorers in Georgia Southern history with the dish. And they're on the glass again. Fantastic feed, but prior to that, a blocking foul will be on Tumani Kamara. Big man freshman. Let's take a look at AK's keys to the game.
I think it's important. Georgia Southern plays small ball a majority of the game, and you can see they come in at under -3 on the glass. Georgia's really good on the glass, most especially offensively, best in the SEC. Georgia Southern will turn you over, which has been somewhat problematic for the Dogs. And then 3-point shooting. Neither team defends it great. Who's going to be able to capitalize from the 3-point line?
Georgia makes 7 threes a game. By the way, a couple of entry passes there from Calvin Wishart. Looks like he's throwing grenades. Is that taught?
Well, I don't know if it's taught or not, but it was effective. I thought it was effective. Threw it over the top. Whatever you got to do to get it done, because that guy right there, he knows how to get it done. You give him space because you have to honor his ability to drive it by you. Big physical guard. He starts rising up and knocking down those 15, 16 footers like we've seen the first 2 possessions. Wow, is his ceiling high.
Here's Simeon Carter, started his college career at Iowa State. Gives up to Wishart. And the shooter's going to get in the paint and get stuck. 5 on the shot clock. Ike Smith, another fine feed. That time an offensive foul. Anthony Edwards from the mid-range.
Yeah, you have to honor his ability to bounce it by you. So you give him space. What does he do? Dribbles it to his spot. Rises, splash. Got a little Victor Oladipo. Another one of Tom Crean's outstanding former pupils at the University of Indiana. This guy's got the whole package offensively. Physically, Tom, we were talking about it. I don't know if I've ever seen a more physically dominant freshman guard in college basketball. Now, I'm 51 years old. I was not watching right in the crib, but I'm going to tell you this. I've been watching for a long time, and I've never seen a guy more physically dominant as a true freshman in college basketball at the guard spot than Anthony Edwards.
In 37 against Michigan State, most by a Georgia freshman since 75. In 33 in the second half. Here he is from deep, and he nails that one. Anthony Edwards has all 7 for Georgia early. On the other side, developing situation for Georgia Southern after Ike Smith picked up his second foul just over 2 minutes in.
Anthony Edwards makes the game look easy. I was talking to Coach Crane earlier today at the Georgia shoot, and I said, these games make you all nervous. I remember him as a coach. Your kids want to go home for a few days. Last game before the break. You're playing a team that you feel like you're superior to. He said, hey, if we get beat, it's not going to be because of that, because our guys have been locked in. It started with our true freshman Anthony Edwards, and then when you get your senior Trump involved, he said their focus has been outstanding leading into the game.
Tyreek Crump with the three. Georgia hasn't missed a shot. A perfect 4 for 4.
Great ball movement, making the extra pass, advancing off the pass, leading to their best catch and shoot guy, Tyreek Crump, a guy that 9 out of every 10 shots he shoots are going to be behind the three. Sometimes his shot selection makes Coffee nervous, but when his feet are set, he's a guy that's going to knock them in as he has throughout his Georgia career.
And Edwards picks up his second, so 2 of the top scorers in this game on the bench for the time being in foul trouble. A drive by Isaiah Crawley, and he picks up the foul.
Coach Crean and his staff got an outstanding staff. We're talking all day about you have to stay in front of Georgia Southern. They are going to attack us both offensively and defensively. And we have to contain dribble penetration, or we're going to be in a free throw battle, one in which Georgia Southern comes in shooting close to 70%.
Isaiah Crawley at the free throw line. The only bad defensive number for Georgia Southern, or the worst, the opponent's free throw percentage. Their free throw defense has been terrible, 76%.
Yeah, I would say that's a little bit of bad luck. You know, they have been a team that has not guarded the three, I'm sure, as well as Coach Byington would have liked at 37%. But Georgia's not a team that's a volume three-point shooting team.
Xavier Wheeler, who had the game winner last time out against SMU, great play in both overtimes. He's not a starter, but he plays starters minutes.
Love this kid. Plays downhill, left-handed, dominant with his left hand. Georgia Southern was making that a huge point of focus in their shoot-around, staying in front of him and forcing him to his right hand. Everything is left. That's where he's at his best.
Well, tried the same thing with J.J. Frazier a couple years ago. That's right. Easier said than done.
That's right. J.J. Frazier went left and lefter, much like Xavier Wheeler.
Fisher with the dish, and Simeon Carter gets his first bucket.
Speed, he cannot relax. Coming right back down the other end.
And Rashawn Hammonds finds the air ball, puts it up and in. He had a double-double last time, 21 and 11. Gresham, a Northeastern transfer, has the takeaway.
Georgia leads the Southeastern Conference at over 14 offensive rebounds per game. They get about 36% of their own misses, which is very, very effective.
Offensive foul, Georgia with a
sensational freshman, because it allows Edwards to play off the ball and not have to have primary ball handling responsibilities for the entire game. And I think that's what Xavier Wheeler does. His ability to create opportunities not only for himself but his teammates is something that is going to be very valuable for Georgia moving forward.
David Lee Jones Jr. for Georgia Southern. These teams have played pretty much even since Anthony Edwards left the game after his second foul. Crawley with a blind shot off the window.
Very difficult shot, forced into that right hand. It's a little tweener runner, and now you see 1-2-2. Working on this earlier, a little 1-2-2 pressure, passive pressure. Trying to create a quick shot. Did so, but did not secure the defensive glass. Again, we talked about it as a key coming into the game, Tom. Georgia outstanding off the offensive glass, and Georgia Southern is a 3 rebound per game deficit. That's an area they're going to have to clean up to have a chance tonight.
Hammonds trying to follow his own miss. Rebound trickles out to David Lee Jones, a senior from Tampa, Florida. It's a Georgia Southern team that knows how to turn the opponents over. 10th best in the country. They force 19 turnovers a game.
And 10 of those are steals. Steals are different than just casual turnovers because it allows you to get out in the open floor, something that is going to be advantageous for Georgia Southern in tonight's upset bid.
Anthony Edwards returns to the game playing with 2 fouls. Mark Byington in his 7th season as the head man at Georgia Southern, 119 wins. 2-0, as we mentioned earlier, in Sun Belt play, and this is a team that's won 7 of their 9. Their second SEC matchup of the season. And the opener, they're on the plane to take on Auburn. Wheeler with the drive.
Mark Byington's done an outstanding job in his 7th season at Georgia Southern. Well coached. He has learned from some of the best. He was on Bobby Crimmins' staff at College of Charleston.
Assistant coach at UNC Wilmington as Crawley picks up his first.
Played for Jerry Wainwright. Can you remember that name?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, flash from the past. Jerry Wainwright, great coach, Chicago native. You see there, picked 3rd in the Sun Belt. Sun Belt's an underrated league. A very good basketball league, top to bottom. 5 guys averaging double figures is something that every coach likes to see. balance across the board, which is the key to their success.
And they've been able to come back 4 wins, trailing by double digits. Christian Brown at the free throw line. He's got another one coming. Ike Smith returns for Georgia Southern.
And it's unusual, you know, when you play the 2 league games right here at the end of December.
Nothing to get choked up about.
Sorry about that. Texas State and UTA, 2 big wins at home. Throughout the league play 2-0.
This is a schedule that's kind of odd for Georgia Southern. Their games are coming in bunches. This is their 3rd game in 5 days. And after a couple of days off, they'll get back into the exact same routine in conference play. 3 games in 5 days. Corner 3, good from Ike Smith. Top 10 in school history in 3-point field goals made.
Dribble penetration from Quan Jackson set that whole thing up. Georgia Southern is having their way off the bounce, which is creating opportunities off penetration.
First bucket for Xavier Wheeler.
Georgia's going to have to do a good job of containing the bounce. You see any exchange or ball screen on the top, Georgia is switching it, and then Georgia Southern is attempting to drive the switch.
Crawley got left all alone after Hammonds fell down. He's got a team-high 7.
Kid's built like an SEC player, big, strong, a little bit of an undersized 4, but skill level allows him to make plays, as does this guy's skill level. Right back in the game. Another shot attempt. High volume guy, as he should be.
Quan Jackson got around one, couldn't get past the other. Who wants it? Harris gives it up. Wheeler shares. And sharing is caring. Rashawn Hammonds gets his 2nd bucket.
That's what Wheeler could do for you. He just creates easy opportunities, and every team needs more easy opportunities to score. Right there, the benefactor, the junior, Rashawn Hammonds.
Odd makeup to this Georgia roster. 9 freshmen, part of this top 5 recruiting class. Tied for the 3rd most in college basketball.
Not quite as odd as seeing you pregame putting on your makeup, but I would dare to say that it is a little strange. High ball screen, allowing Wheeler to get to his left hand. It really created an advantage. Tough 3 in the corner off the initial pass.
Stayed away from a witty comeback because I'm trying to stay on the nice list. I only have 48 hours left.
I was about to say, trying to make up for a lot of lost time.
Georgia leads by 6. A Georgia Southern team averaging nearly 80 points a game. Good post position, and Crawley gets another one. He's got 9. Is that going to be an Achilles heel for Georgia all season?
Well, they certainly, if you look at their team right now, they're playing awfully small. They've got Hammonds at the 5. They've got good big wings. Wheeler obviously diminutive in stature, but plays much bigger. He's really big off the bounce, and especially if you let him get to his left hand. But on the defensive end, it could be problematic if they do not fight them for touches. You cannot allow Georgia Southern to go where they want off the bounce, and that has been the problem so far in this game.
Xavier Wheeler commits the foul, but prior to that, the 18-wheeler taking up all lanes and sharing the road with there's only 3 remaining unbeatens. We could be undefeated against Liberty's schedule. That's why they're not ranked at 14-0. San Diego State, great start. Only 3 left. Unblemished records.
You know who Liberty's next game is, don't you?
Liberty.
LSU. I'll be there looking for a play-by-play guy if anybody's available on the 29th. Big opportunity for Liberty.
Shake a tree. Play-by-play guy will fall out. Rodney Howard picks up his first personal.
Again, dribble, penetration. Problematic. Sometimes Georgia, I think, is anticipating a switch as opposed to focusing on the ball. Sit down and guard the bounce. Something that Coach Crean and his staff were emphasizing throughout shoot-around today. They've got to do a good job of staying in front of the bounce, or Georgia Southern is going to live at the free throw line.
Correction. They charge the foul to Ty Fagan. And so, Calvin Wishart to the free throw line. Sophomore from Delano, Minnesota. Finalist for basketball his senior year. Let's go to the replay monitor and see if we got the right person who committed the foul. I think that's right. Delano, Minnesota, population 6,000. And Wishart was scoring 32 points with 10 boards and 8 assists a game. Took them to their first state championship.
Pat Adams, which elf would he be?
The friendly one.
Elf on the shelf?
Yeah.
Pat Adams.
They're going to give it to Howard after all.
After all that?
I guess he'd be the elf that sits in front of the monitor because he didn't waste any time.
No, he did not. He did not. He's happy. He's smiling. What a cheer in the air.
Is that what that is? Another one coming for Wishart. Just his third miss. We got a great crew on hand tonight. You know, there's only 8 Division I college basketball games throughout the country. So guys who want to work know where to show up. Including our buddy Terry Oglesby.
Ron Gruber. Would definitely be the Grinch if we were typecasting. I'm surprised Georgia Southern does not go back to the zone pressure, but they will go to this matchup. They like this matchup. It looks a little 1-3-1, but is going to morph to where the offensive players are. Opposite guard's going to take away that high post entry. If you're Georgia, you cannot be passive, which is exactly what's happened, and now you're under 10 in the clock.
Looking for a clean shot. It comes from the baseline. And an offensive rebound, and Howard gets fouled. And Wishart commits his first.
Very, very frustrating if your coach Byington did a great job, changed the pace with the D, got the initial miss. They don't clean it up off the offensive glass. And again, Georgia, the best in the SEC at just over 14 offensive rebounds a game, which is outstanding. They get about 36.5% of their misses, which is outstanding. And now they have an opportunity to get the old-fashioned three-point play. Georgia Southern, as Georgia's going to have to work on containing the bounce, Georgia Southern's going to have to get body on body and do it earlier, or Georgia will continue to destroy them off their offensive glass.
You know, I think you should come up with a name for that defense. As you were describing it, my mind drifted to those old UNLV defenses, which were much more run and jump. But I thought the name fit Amoeba. Big time block.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
You know, kids these days, at least in my household, this time of year, get some time off at school. They love to put together slime, right?
Yeah.
No matter what you pour it on, it's just going to ooze around till it finds something. Maybe that could be the slime defense.
Maybe, or the slinky.
Yeah.
I bet you were a big slinky fan. You're like a slinky fan. Maybe the slinky, slimy. We'll figure it out.
Do you remember the slinky song?
I do not.
One for a girl and a boy.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Smith.
Oh,
and Ike Smith nails it. That's one of the all-time Christmas toys, the Slinky. It'll be broken by December 27th.
And Ike Smith had a little slinky release right there. Cocked it over his right ear. Slimed it right in, if you're a Georgia fan.
Top 10 school history in scoring in the Division I era at Georgia Southern. Tyree Crump from way deep. Gresham with the board. And Wishart comes out of there with it to push it for Georgia Southern.
The defense has been very effective, but they have to clean it up with a defensive rebound. Fortunate there that Georgia did not capitalize off the offensive glass. Back to the slinky defense. Oh, that's a good one.
The slinky defense, what have we done? Smith will throw it up.
Same spot, different result. But I like the shot. You know, my philosophy is one is good, two is better. Two is good. Let's do 7. Georgia Southern still back in this matchup. No penetration allowed. That's what you have to do. Throw it inside. Don't be afraid to go through the post. He dribbled himself into a bad angle. Good block by Carter.
The Lincoln Log defense that time. Pace has slowed down a little bit in this one, and that was way off. Maybe on Lamar. Tyree Crump drifting on that shot.
Shot that like he'd been on the eggnog. A little long, a little hard.
Time for an Uber. Mark Byington says slow it down a little bit. Where does he want to go in the half court?
Well, right now, Georgia's back in this 2-3 zone. They will also match out of it against the zone. You got to go high post, short corner. They're trying to get someone to the high post, but they're going to shoot it before they can enter it. That is their best catch and shoot player, and he pays it off. Weishart shows you why he was runner-up to Mr. Basketball in Minnesota.
Had some great ones there, going back to Kevin McHale's days. Tyus Jones, Trey Jones. 3 of the last 6 Mr. Basketballs in Minnesota have ended up at Duke.
I know this. I know that Georgia Southern came into this game with every expectation of winning, and you can see took an early punch, down big out of the gate. Byington's done a great job of changing the tempo for his team defensively. The matchup zone has been very effective, and now they're settling in and starting to make shots.
Georgia Southern on a 6-0 run to close within 1. Full set of subs ready to check in for Georgia.
High ball screen again. Georgia switches it. And
Tough
Georgia Southern attacks the switch. By that I mean, when they come off the high ball screen, Georgia is switching it, putting a big guy, a 4 or a 5, trying to contain the ball handler right there. Ike Smith, their best offensive player, took full advantage.
First Georgia Southern lead. They bring a double to the post, and Crump has to punch it away. Georgia's missed its last 6 attempts. That's a high percentage look. And it took a victory lap to finally go in for Christian Brown.
Well, Chris Brown, highly touted, one of those highly touted freshmen. Good interior passing leads to an open layup.
Smith, too strong, and Crump has it.
This team is a little gassed. Looking for the media timeout. Can't give in to fatigue. I tell myself working with you, Tom.
And you always step over the line, just like that. And that step on the line will bring us to timeout. How about Georgia Southern starting a sharpshooter?
I like it. Inside, out. Good ball move face. And it's much easier when your defender falls down. You cannot allow him to get easy, clean looks at point-blank range if you're Georgia.
Good news for Georgia. They average 15.5 turnovers a game. They only have 2 in the first 14 minutes of this one. Loose ball, and Georgia Southern able to find it. Georgia Southern has outscored Georgia 23-17 since Georgia started this game by scoring the first 7. Tom Crean not happy. Another foul in the half court. And Georgia Southern will be shooting free throws the rest of the way.
That's the problem when you give the opposing team free opportunities from the free throw line. Number one, it forces you to play a little bit more tentatively. Anthony Edwards was dominant in the game early, picked up 2 quick fouls. Anxious to see how he plays with 2 the remainder of the half.
So it's Crawley again. He's easy to spot. The neon sneakers. I like this color of the fur on the Grinch, which nice of you to take off your uniform before you sat down tonight. From the wing, it's good from Anthony Edwards.
Well, that guy's not the Grinch. Once as a child, I wanted an ant farm. I'm not sure he would have fit, but I want to tell you this kid is as explosive a player as there is in college basketball.
There was a long 2 that time from Trey Dawkins, senior from Forest City, North Carolina.
Back to this matchup for Georgia Southern. You better know where number 5 is.
What would you do with an ant farm?
Wouldn't end well for the Ants, I don't think.
Kamara, freshman from Brussels, Belgium, is on the board.
Brussels, Belgium. Been to Belgium, you?
No, I haven't been there. What'd you do over there?
I played basketball in Holland, which is neighboring Brussels, Belgium.
How are the Waffles?
Outstanding. They were into the high-octane breweries way ahead of the game. Should have brought that to Brexit. Good spin move right there.
That's David Lee Jones, no relation to Tommy. Hammonds, a wraparound, got knocked away.
I like attacking from that high post. Just got to be stronger with the ball. But that's where, if you're Georgia, that's where the ball's got to go, in the middle of that zone and attack.
Wild shot from Jackson, kept alive by Jordan Harris, who crashed hard, and then a step across the inline and a greeting for the Georgia fans. How about the ball movement for the Dogs?
I love it. It started with Anthony Edwards off penetration. The ball changes sides of the floor multiple times. Tom Creighton will be really happy with that offensive possession, and then Anthony Edwards cashes it in.
Anthony Edwards settles in at the free throw line. Where is number 5 at his best in the half court?
Well, I think he's valuable because he's good everywhere. We've seen his ability to shoot over the top. He can create his own. I like to see him in that mid-post area because physically I think he is so dominant he can get to his spot at will.
It was Crawley with the block. He's done a little bit of everything tonight for the Eagles.
He's been by far the most active player for Georgia Southern. They are not bashful. They will continue to shoot the three when available. Now you got to get back in transition because you cannot give Georgia anything free in the open floor. Drive, drift, a little hammer pass. Again, excellent ball movement. Leads to an Anthony Edwards three. I wish he would have shot the first one. I didn't really like the step back. It's an NBA influence.
Got a hand in his face. Crawley gets it to go, and he's going to the line. Isaiah Crawley's got 11 points on his way to the free throw line. And this holiday season from the
NCAA mandate, you have to get 3 days. Y'all should have 3 days. 3 days is enough.
How does that affect coaches?
Well,
is that a big deal?
I don't think so. I like the fact that it's a rule, so everybody is dealing with the same set of circumstances, and I think it's very, very helpful for not only the player's psyche but also the coaches. And then you come back and you gear up. You may have a game, possibly two, and then it is league play, and it is on. Matchup zone again. I like Hammonds at the high post. Size, ability to make passes.
Ooh. Another big block for Georgia Southern. That one's from Trey Dawkins.
Yeah, George Harris is quite an athlete. Georgia's got long, athletic wings. We almost saw that there.
Edwards with a pull-up inside the line.
Sometimes I wish he would just get downhill and finish over the top. He's a guy that I think could live at the free throw line. Speaking, of course, of Anthony Edwards. Shoots about 5 a game, but he could be, I'm not saying he could be James Harden, different rules, different game, but he could be a guy that gets there 8 or 9 times because of his ability to bounce it and his physical strength of playing through contact.
Edwards looking for another screen. Wouldn't that then open everything else up for him?
I think so. I like him here. He's a good passer. Just makes plays. Good ball movement there by Georgia.
Georgia Southern with the rebound. They're up 3. Already their largest lead of the game, trying to stretch it.
You can see playing with a lot of confidence. Ball needs to change sides of the floor. Or not.
Doesn't. And Georgia Southern trying to hold on right now. A 7-0 run. Wheeler trying to go between his legs. Got tripped up. And a Georgia Southern takeaway. That's what they're so good at. 2-on-1. Jones will tee it up.
I like that one. I didn't like the Crawley shot. First thing that he's really done the entire game. Shot that like a lump of coal. No harm, no foul.
Well, Cole, in Atlanta this weekend, it's a Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl Saturday, December 28th. SEC Network with plenty of coverage. SEC Nation comes your way 2 Eastern, 1 Central. Then the game against Oklahoma will air the LSU radio broadcast on the SEC Network and wrap up the day with the SEC Now postgame show. You can always watch it all on the ESPN app from anywhere.
So you don't do your own rapping.
No, I don't even hum anymore. Edwards with the ball. Shot clock already at 5.
I like it, a high post touch, but I wish he would have turned and faced. He just immediately threw it back out.
And Georgia didn't get a look. Couldn't get it off. A shot clock violation and their 5th turnover here in the first half.
Gresham should have been more firm by catching it at the high post. Turning, facing, attacking. He just threw right back out. Kind of looks like Red in Shawshank Redemption, does he not?
A little bit. That's his nickname.
Played by the great Morgan Freeman.
You're partial to Mississippians, aren't you?
Partial to that one.
Georgia Southern turns it over. They still haven't extended this 3-point lead, though they have many opportunities. Meanwhile, Georgia's missed its last 5 shots. On top of that, they've turned it over 3 times in the last 4 minutes.
I like what Coach Crean has done, though, by putting the player in the high post. Continue to play through him. Then you have to be aggressive when you get the touch. They're just settling a little bit too much on the perimeter. I would not be afraid to drive it. That is one thing that Wheeler has not been very effective with early in his career. Only a 23% three-point shooter, and that's something that he's going to have to improve on moving forward.
Georgia Southern's defense notwithstanding, what will Georgia's identity offensively be when they get into league play?
Well, Coach Crane has implemented a 5-out motion-based with a lot of cutting off the ball. When you play this matchup zone, it eliminates some of that, which again is a good coaching move by Coach Byington, and you can see it's paying dividends. Georgia was in great offensive rhythm early, not so much here late.
Jones trying to shake Wheeler, who dove in for the steal, and then the follow-up from Jordan Harris resulted in a foul, and Georgia Southern probably got timeout before the foul. How about that? Quick timeout with 21 seconds left and 16.
Will not fall out of the top three. I think potentially number one. Right now he's the only one of those three that is actively playing. Obviously James Wiseman made a decision to leave Memphis and enter the draft, so he will not play again on this stage. And then LaMelo Ball is hurt. He's playing over in Australia. I know you probably have the Australian ticker and stay up and watch it while petting koalas, but for the rest of us, we just have to depend on some highlights. So this guy's got a great stage to put himself as the number one pick in the draft.
Clock winding down, 5 seconds left, looking for some eucalyptus leaves. It's at 2 now. Wheeler, the lefty scoop. It won't go. The follow jam was fancy, but it won't count. And that's how the first half will come to an end. Georgia didn't score a field goal over the last 5 minutes of this first half.
Need to get off. Big first 5 minutes out of the locker room. Both of these teams want to get to Christmas with a dub. Georgia Southern sticking with the amoeba matchup zone. Georgia did a better job of getting it right there. Get the ball in the center of the zone, and it's going to lead to opportunities. And I love to see that kid when he bounces it and the shots. Created that offensive rebound opportunity for his side mate, Rashad Hammonds.
It would have been a different look with Wheeler at the high post as opposed to Edwards. We'll see if they keep up with that, if that was the adjustment made. Georgia Southern's strength has been inside with Isaiah Crawley. Crawley starts on the bench this half, and the shot is off the mark. He did not start the game. How often of that, as a head coach, you just stick with the same starters second half, even if others have been more effective? And that's Kamara again.
I typically would play the guys that played the best in the first half, most especially as it relates to combinations. Green knows Wheeler gives him an extra pop offensively. It's something they desperately need out of the gate.
Ike Smith going to throw it up and throw it in. It goes for 2. He wanted to whistle but didn't get it, and he's got double figures now with 10.
We don't have a great angle of that, but I like Terry Oglesby, a great ref. Did not reward Ike Smith for diving into the defender. I couldn't tell if he was vertical or not, but Terry Oglesby, one of the best in the business, said play on. Ike Smith cast it in anyway. Back to the matchup.
Wheeler from the distribution point. And Anthony Edwards says, no, I want it up above the rim, not under the rim.
I like the cut off the ball. I'm sure that was something that Tom was talking about in the locker room with his Bulldogs. Just because you're seeing this matchup zone does not give you an excuse to stop cutting. Continue to work off the ball, which is probably the hardest thing for young players to understand, especially when you're as decorated as these Georgia freshmen are. They've never had to move off the ball in their life. This is certainly a transition for them, and then you throw in the matchup zone, create some confusion, which is the whole point for Coach Byington and the Eagles.
Wisher from the corner off the mark, but rebounded by Ike Smith. He's been active, and he follows his own miss. The senior trying to snap an 8-game Georgia Southern losing streak to Georgia. Edwards gets in the paint. Lid on the basket for Georgia when they're not turning it over this half.
Strong drive, a little bit of a fade, unnecessary. Created a degree of difficulty in the shot that he could not finish. Georgia Southern in transition.
Quan Jackson's first bucket gives Georgia Southern its largest lead. Hammonds with the run-out jam.
That is inexcusable if you're Georgia Southern. On a made basket, you have nobody back on D. Point guard responsibility. Nobody's supposed to get behind you. Great push, great run by Georgia.
Smith again.
With every possession time, you can feel their confidence growing. Ike Smith is unflappable. Been there, done that. Grown man approach. Great cut again. An ability to finish, but I love his activity. Staying with it, he'll earn his first trip to the free throw line.
Simeon Carter commits his first personal foul.
Quan Jackson just rising up, shooting it in the basket. Inexcusable. Everybody's pointing, but nobody is getting matched up. Rashad Hammons just outran the whole Eagle defense in transition and got an easy dunk. Easy for those who can dunk. Not so easy for you, Tom.
No, it wouldn't be.
For Rashad Hammons, pretty easy, and that's something that breaks your heart if you're Mark Byington. You're fighting hard to get the lead. Can't give up easy ones in the open floor.
Thursday morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 Central. SEC Now team will be at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta for LSU's Media Day for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. You can hear from Ed Ogeron, Joe Burrow, and the players with analysis from our SEC Now experts. Nobody's going to get you ready for the game against Oklahoma like the SEC Network. Another one coming for Anthony Edwards. 1 of 2.
You got to dig in defensively. You got to get matched up first and foremost, and you got to dig in and get some stops. Georgia Southern played with a great deal of confidence, and justifiably so, the way that they have started this second half.
Bishop blocked with it.
You cannot move both feet prior to bouncing it. Did not establish a pivot foot.
So that's a 5th turnover for Georgia Southern as David Lee Jones returns.
Still no kin to Tommy. Big fan of Tommy Lee Jones, by the way. Yeah, fugitive. I know something about that.
They have a lot in common.
High post entry, love it. Now you got to turn and attack inside out.
Edwards struggling in the second half, putting the ball in. Wheeler flips it in.
The kid is really, really strong, most especially if he can get to his strong hand, which is his left. Uses his body to shield the defender and makes an acrobatic finish. Ike Smith dancing unnecessarily. You got to drive the big. Good on-ball defense right there.
It's Kamara with the defense, but Georgia Southern gets it right back. And the knuckleball's off the back rim. Kamara with the board. Wheeler will look to push.
Great defensive possession there by Kamara, freshman. Tremendous upside, doing all the little things which is going to take for Georgia to get back in this thing.
Trump's feet never got set. An air ball from Georgia. I'd say 4-point lead, but Xavier Wheeler getting it done for the Dogs.
Yeah, off a long rebound.
Indiana.
Yeah, and both of those guys are easy comparisons when you think of Ant Edwards. But I'm going to tell you again, physically, he's like the Victor Oladipo of the Indiana Pacers, not the Indiana Hoosiers, and he is like the version of Dwayne Wade that we see as an NBA All-Star physically, not the one that was at Marquette. I was an assistant for Bob Huggins at Cincinnati when Dwayne Wade was under Tom Crean at Marquette, and physically this kid is a different level at this phase of his career. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a bigger version of Donovan Mitchell, the great Louisville player who's now a great for the Utah Jazz. They call Donovan Mitchell Spider. And if Donovan Mitchell's a spider, Anthony Edwards is a tarantula.
Ike Smith might be the Black Widow. He's putting a bite into Georgia tonight, trying to end this long losing streak for the Eagles against Georgia.
Think about Ike Smith, man. Been there, done that. 5th-year senior. Certainly not fazed by this crowd. And physically, he is built like an SEC player.
Wow. Up and over. It's Kamara who throws it down.
Great pass by Anthony Edwards. An underrated part of his game. Good vision here. to his other freshman. Kamara, great cut off the ball. That'll make Tom Crean really happy. Activity level off the ball, very, very important for Georgia against this zone as we close down this second half.
Georgia Southern hasn't beaten an SEC team since they knocked off South Carolina in December of '92. And they got a great opportunity here tonight.
Good defensive possession. Now let's see if you can string together back-to-back baskets. Don't settle. I like Hammonds in the high post, which we saw there, because of his size and his ability to play over the top if they can get an entry. Hustle by Wheeler keeps another possession alive for Georgia. The ball has not reached the inside. Now it does off penetration. You've broken down the defense. Leads to back-to-back dunks.
Edwards has a baker's dozen. Georgia within 2.
Much better when you get penetration prior to settling for perimeter shots.
Wow, fantastic finish on the other end from David Lee Jones Jr. Transition 3.
Don't like the shot. Too quick, unnecessary. Watch, Tom, when the ball gets inside off dribble penetration, which we saw there, you get free runs at the basket.
First 2.5 minutes, Anthony Edwards was perfect, 3 for 3, but since then, just 2 for 10 and 6 points. Is there anyone from a one-loss standpoint in the SEC more important to their team than Anthony Edwards? At that time, he let Elijah McCadden get past him.
And zero help. The ball was driven from the center third of the floor, which makes it impossible to provide a weak side defensively, but somebody has to react to the ball. You cannot bounce it 2 times from 22 feet and end up with a layup. Poor initial D, but worst off the help.
Wheeler trying to penetrate.
Can't let him get to his left hand. He's too strong. He's going to get to his spot. That's a great drive. I like Wheeler's decision. He struggles from 3, but now your senior. Shot clock violation. They'll review that, but that was a shot clock violation right here to Tyree Crump, where he has no chance to get it off. Wasted possession, which Georgia hadn't had many. They've settled some, but they're typically getting shots at the basket. The zone has gotten them stifled a bit in their movement.
Kamara lost the rebound, but it's picked up by Tyree Crump. Georgia shooting 41% in this one.
Southern transitions back to the zone, which is not easy to do. You can see they're just matching and switching. You cannot settle 4 round 1, but you try to get a high post touch if you can. Dribble penetration, good ball movement here. I would be surprised if it didn't lead to a good shot, but they're going to call Wheeler on the hook.
Put Wishart on the ground, and so it's Xavier Wheeler's second personal foul.
Yeah, he must have said he hooked him with the right arm. Pat Adams, again, one of the best in the business, had a pretty good angle. I like the possession by Georgia. And I felt like it was going to lead to dribble penetration, which typically means a good shot. We won't have the opportunity to see that. And they've got to get down here and guard defensively. We haven't called his name much lately.
No, Isaiah Crawley did not start the second half. That's his first scoring touch. But he had it defended well. Georgia is trying to figure things out. They haven't scored in the last 2 minutes plus.
Struggled. They're awfully young on the floor right now, with the exception of post-grad Gresham and senior Jordan. The rest are all newcomers. Can't settle. I like that. Play through the short corner. Dribble penetration. Strong finish.
And Christian Brown going to the free throw line after the foul.
They are really high on this kid's upside, and you see why. Good ball movement leads to a closeout, which Chris Brown decides to attack. Finished strong through contact. Now he's got a chance to cut this back to a 1-possession game.
Tough whistle on Crawley. It's his second. And Christian Brown, part of this 9-man recruiting class. Crowley will take a seat with that second foul. Brown out of Columbia, South Carolina.
Crowley with 12 big points in the first half. Scoreless here in the second. We're going to need him to recharge his shoes over there on the sideline and get back in this game.
Kind of like my Santa hat. Stop blinking.
You can tell Georgia picking up the defensive intensity, understanding the importance. You can't do that.
And it goes. Brown commits the foul. And Tom Crean not happy.
Yeah, that's a miscommunication. A simple high ball screen. One thought they were switching. The other is late. You see Coach Crean there saying if we're going to switch that, you have to switch up. By that, he means so he cannot stop and pop, which is exactly what Ike Smith did.
105th start in Ike Smith's career, 5th in school history.
And then no check out off the offensive rebound.
And Harris bails him out with the block shot. Georgia down 7. They started this game by scoring the first 7 points. Corner 3. Good. And Jordan Harris has his first bucket of the second half.
Big defensive play for the senior. Only back for the second game after his suspension. Makes a defensive play. Backs it up with a huge 3 to cut this back to a 4-point game.
Harris had 9 in his first game of the season against SMU on Friday. Ike Smith, the senior, fading. And rebounded by Wheeler. No numbers for Georgia. Wheeler push anyway for good reason. Kamara skies high to throw it down. It's a one-possession game.
Electric in the open floor. Great vision by Wheeler. Kamara runs the floor and finishes with authority.
Drive, finish. Another big-time move. It's David Lee Jones, a senior from Tampa.
Lee Jones has done a good job of driving the switch. He did it there. 5-man wants to switch off on the ball handler. Take him to the rim.
Wheeler.
Great cut. 2 cuts. Started with Jordan Harris. Good pass by Wheeler. Harris then finds Kamara over the top.
Smith off the side of the rim, but Lamar's got the board. And a strip from Kamara, loose ball. Wheeler making good decisions in the open floor.
Yeah, he's electric. When they can get a clean stop and allow him to get out in the open floor, his speed creates an advantage. And then when his teammates run with him, he does a good job of rewarding. Great half-court activity by the Dogs. Tom Crean, and they'll be much happier with the way that they have attacked this matchup zone in the second half.
That was a loose ball foul on Georgia Southern, their 3rd team foul, the first on the junior from Savannah, Trevion Lamar. In fact, that's the last place these two teams met. Last time they met, Georgia knocked them off in 2001 in Savannah. Georgia Southern hasn't won a game in the series since before their Division I. That was in the second meeting of the calendar year of 1961. Wheeler blows through, spins it in.
They did a good job of screening the top of that 1-2-2 zone pressure, allowing Wheeler to get downhill. And when he does, his speed, again, creates all the advantage that Georgia needs.
Jones, nothing doing. Offensive board stripped by Gresham.
Great hands by Red.
And the 5th-year senior gives a possession for Georgia. Dogs looking for the lead. Wheeler back-to-back buckets.
Tremendous pull-up, tremendous decision out of this freshman. Coming off SEC Freshman of the Week with a game winner in their last.
6 of their 12 field goals in the second half have come inside the lane. Ike Smith has been the leader for Georgia Southern, preseason 2nd team all-conference, top 10 in scoring. Free throws attempted and 3s made in his career. He gives it up, and Georgia Southern doesn't get a clean look.
Tough drive trying to finish oversized, came up a little bit short. Like the play call, though. He's a driving angle, just his inability to finish over Georgia's size at the rim. Now we're going to get a little dribble weave. It's going to lead to a high ball screen between Hammonds and Wheeler. Now you're late in the clock. You got to be aware of that if you're Wheeler.
Hammonds will tee it up. Georgia Southern can tie it with a 2, take the lead with a 3.
Georgia Southern has done a great job off of their glass. They're +3 on the night.
David Lee Jones ties it with a jumper.
He's a good puller. He has been terrific tonight in that mid-range. Another senior who wants to go out his senior year with a win against the in-state Bulldogs.
Shot clock at 4. And Georgia turns it over. Eagles looking for the lead.
Yeah, Harris thought Kamara was going to dive, and he should have. Kamara tries to fade.
Tough angle for Jackson. Ends up with Kamara.
Yeah, that's a bad shot. He didn't have anything, and it's going to lead to red. I think that's a travel.
Took off early. We're tied at 55. 6:57 to go this Christmas Eve.
Ashley.
And it's going to start by containing dribble penetration, which has been the calling card for Georgia Southern all night. Shoes charged up. Crowley back in.
Stolen away. Tamani Kamara. And great body control to finish.
Well, this kid is really impressive physically, active with his hands, getting a lot done.
Grew up in Belgium, played his high school ball in Florida, Chaminade Madonna. He was all-state there. And a 3-ball from the senior Ike Smith. A game-high 23.
Dribble penetration by Quan Jackson led to that. Penetration leads to help. Help leads to late closeouts. Ike Jackson. What's love got to do with that?
Wheeler lost it. Georgia Southern comes out of there with it. And a foul by Gresham.
This Ike is putting a hurting on the Georgia Bulldogs. Does not need much space. Impressive finish for a freshman. Big man. Body control. Great hair. Kid's got it all. I'm sure he's bilingual, much like you are, Tom.
Bueno. Georgia Southern's going to have to use a timeout here.
Every possession's important. I like the decision there. Didn't get a clean look. Let's call it timeout.
3 games, though. He had back surgery for a herniated disc after just 10 games. They thought about bringing him back. Well, Mark Byington said, you know, he's only about 70%. Could he go through the beating of the conference tournament, take us to the postseason? We just weren't sure. So they got him back for another year. Here's Crawley. Got 2 deep. He still hadn't scored this half.
Good inline out-of-bounds situation. Just missed the bunny inside. A guy with shoes like that, you would think he'd be good at the bunnies.
I've never seen a bunny that color. Loose ball. Look who's there. It's Tamari Kamara, and he's got a career high now in this freshman campaign with 14.
A teaching point here, Tom. If you are active on the basketball court, good things happen. Tamani Kamara has been the most active player in this game, and that's why he has changed the complete outlook of it for Georgia. See him here, they're switching all of these exchanges on the perimeter. Kids sitting down, guarding the bounce.
They get Wheeler for the foul.
This guy's pretty active as well. He was matched up on Crowley off the switch. Georgia Southern doing a good job of understanding they have an advantage. He's trying to spin. Oh, Wheeler thought he had all ball. Terry Oglesby thought otherwise.
So Crowley to the free throw line. 66% from the stripe.
Scoreless in the second half after leading the Eagles in the first half with 12. Ties this thing up.
Jordan Harris will take a seat. Tyree Crump replaces him. Another one coming for Crawley.
Ant-Man back in the game along with Crump.
And Crawley knocks them both down. First points this half, as you mentioned.
Looks like straight man for Georgia Southern, which will allow Coach Crean to dial up an offensive set. You see a lot more activity. These continuous curls, they call it wheel.
And Edwards can't knock it down. He's been cold this second half. Why go away from the zone if you're Georgia Southern?
Well, just trying to change the pace a little bit. Georgia's had a much more successful rate of it in the second half.
Good carry. And that'll turn it over. Georgia Southern trying to turn over this series. They haven't beaten Georgia since 1961. This is the first meeting in 18 years. Georgia's won the last 8. And Georgia Southern hasn't beaten a conference team since '92.
A little two up. Horns actually look like they're trying to get Anthony Edwards on the post. Georgia Southern did a good job of fighting him off that initial catch, not allowing them to get an angle to feed the post. Good drive by Red.
Gresham turns the corner, puts it in. His first bucket of the game comes at a key point. Georgia back in front.
Found an open lane, much like Andy Dufresne. Paid it off with freedom on the other side.
Get busy living or get busy dying. Smith, the kick, and not a great look to Wishart. They couldn't squeeze it.
Ike is known to have kicked a time or two. Good penetration. The pass was a little low. Couldn't handle it. Big turnover back to back for Georgia Southern.
Wheeler, beautiful dish and a jam. Edwards almost hung his head on the rim.
Great penetration. Story of the second half by Wheeler. And Anthony Edwards cutting off the ball. Gets the payoff.
Open three off the back rim. There's a rebound by Gresham. First year in a Georgia uniform. Edwards, only year in a Georgia uniform most likely. He gets fouled. And he'll have a chance to add to the Georgia lead.
That's where Anthony Edwards is so special in the open floor. And if you give him a pass, offense is away from you. You shoot 39%. Second half, offense is directly in front of Tom and his team. They shoot 62%.
4 ties, 10 lead changes. 7 lead changes in this second half.
LNOB, you got an issue.
It's a weakness for Georgia this season. Georgia Southern's in the 90th percentile scoring and baseline out of bounds. Georgia's not so good. And we got a foul on Crawley.
It's been somewhat of a foul-free game, has it not, Tom? Georgia only 6 free throw attempts. Georgia Southern only 9. We're sitting here with 3 and change to play. Both teams are not in the bonus. Georgia's sitting on only 14 fouls, and that's only the 5th for the Eagles.
From the corner. Nope. It'll be Georgia Southern basketball after the miss by Tyree Crump.
It was good execution, though. They dived to suck the defense in and then try to throw behind to their best open three-point shooter. Crump couldn't cash it in. Big offensive possession here for Georgia Southern to regain some momentum. I bet Ike's involved. Typically is. Good penetration.
Ike from the corner. Can't hit. And Edwards with the board.
This is where he's special. Just has the ability to get wherever he wants off the bounce. Great tempo, good pace to his game, and then he is so explosive at the end.
Preseason All-American, offensive foul on the Georgia Southern drive on David Lee Jones.
And look who took it. Tomani Kamara, the MVP of tonight's game to this point. Edwards makes it look so easy. End to end, slow down, speed up. He has got the complete package. The Ant-Man cometh.
He's had Georgia on its back most of the season, a record-setting performance in Maui. He had 33 points in the second half against Michigan State. He fell just short of the Maui Invitational scoring record. set by Adam Morrison of Gonzaga back in the day.
We appreciate Adam's brother Jim in the truck course tonight. End the shot clock. Penetration. Look at that.
Wheeler commits the foul, offensive foul. That's his fourth.
I love the penetration, and I would have liked to see Anthony Edwards drift out of line. By that I mean, if he would have gotten into the vision off that penetration, if he would have got in front of Wheeler, Wheeler would have been more than a receptive passer.
Tom Green's getting the fans up.
Well, he's gotten them up all right. Really impressive crowd for the 23rd of December.
Too strong off the backboard. Rebounded by the freshman Kamara.
They changed the game with their defensive intensity, and it's led to this.
Wow. Edwards again. Georgia up by a touchdown thanks to an 8-0 run. And then they give it up. 3-on-1. Where's Edwards? There he is.
Tom Crean cannot stop raving about the way in which he has approached this season. Teammates love him. He's got the whole package. It would be hard for me to say, nah, I'm not going to take him. I'm going to take somebody else.
10-0 run for Georgia. Smith off the glass. That guy can score easily. He's got 25. That's a game high. Edwards gives it right back to Wheeler.
Ike Smith does not need much space because he can play through contact. And when he is in the middle third of the floor, which we have not seen him much down the stretch, he has scored at will tonight.
Wheeler to the free throw line, 1-1. Georgia up 7. What was on your Christmas wish list?
Well, I'll tell you this. They fouled Wheeler like they were trying to get him there. He's only a 61% foul shooter, trying to extend the game. 7 points with just over 90 seconds. Paid off. Good coaching. That's good coaching. Byington's a good coach. He's done a great job at Georgia Southern. Very aware. They stole a possession. Now let's see if they can capitalize.
Smith got a bump from Edwards. It was enough to stop the clock. It's the third.
Only the 6th on Georgia, so it will not turn into free throw opportunities. The next one will.
Long pass, and Edwards almost picked it.
Yeah, too long of a pass. If he would have seen that earlier, we would have seen another highlight.
Georgia Southern has turned it over 4 times in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, Georgia's defense has been the key to this outstanding run. Clean stops, which have led to transition opportunities. Right here for Georgia Southern, you got to get some penetration. There you have it.
And they lost it. Wishart able to save it, but not quite. And that gives it back to Georgia.
Yeah, McCadden off his knee. McCadden off his knee. Cost his advantage he had. He was trying to size up.
Pat ever tee up?
I didn't get a lot of tees. Pat maybe did one time. He swallowed a whistle on me a couple times. Not that I remember. In Knoxville one time in particular. Up 2. Lost in overtime, but I mean, I'm over that.
Here's Edwards, a fantastic freshman.
Great pass.
Wow, and another high percentage look for Toumani Kamara. Largest lead of the game for Georgia, up 9 under a minute.
Toumani Kamara, great activity. And again, Anthony Edwards is more than just a scorer. Great pass, vision, touch. Wow, what an impressive finish to this game for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Gresham is able to take it home. This is a Georgia team that needed double overtime to get past SMU last time out. Edwards whips it around and in. He's got 23.
His ability to drive it at the basket is as good as there is in college basketball. I was telling you before the game, Tom, I was a head coach in the SEC for 12 years. This is my 2nd year doing whatever we call what we're doing. I have never seen the SEC more wide open. This Georgia team continues to improve. They're going to have ample opportunities in SEC play.
73-64 is the final score. We've got more coverage coming away from Stegman Coliseum. Stay right here on the SEC Network. We'll hear from the star Anthony Edwards and his coach Tom Crean when we return in a moment.